Let me quickly cut across to BJP's National Vice President J. Panda joining me on the news track. Mr. Panda, the opposition asks, why is the government so concerned about the rant of a 92-year-old philanthropist investor at the Munich Security Conference?
George Soros claiming to stand for democracy is like Dawood Ibrahim claiming to stand for law and order. His notorious track record is there for all to see. I would urge the viewers of your esteemed program to search him online. You'll find many very, very worrying things about George Soros. For example, the New York Post, which is a major and the oldest newspaper in the US, has done a series of investigative reports which lays it out in plain sight. He funds a far leftist agenda of destabilizing societies and grabbing political power. Now, you saw in that video that menacing tone, and he has been targeting India for some years now. You already referred to his attack on the UK, and that's been his modus operandi. His modus operandi, he's never built anything. He's a speculator. He's not an industrialist or somebody who has built assets or businesses. He has benefited from actually causing them to collapse like he did on the British pound all those years ago. And his track record is of funding these far leftist ideologues, what we in India would call urban naxals, into positions of power in the US and in other countries. And you can see the havoc that they are wreaking. Now, we should not take, he's as you said, he's 92 years old and he has megalomania, as you can see from that menacing tone in that video. We really shouldn't worry. But he does have a knack for building a nexus with people. Just like he has done in other countries, he's building a nexus with people in India, positioning them in positions of influence in the media, in activism. So we should worry if he's targeting India and wanting to bring down
I'll come
India.
to that nexus and people in position of power or influence in just a moment. But for the moment, I want to quickly just stay on what he said. If George Soros believes that Prime Minister Modi's links with Adani will weaken, or his alleged links will weaken what he describes is as Modi's stranglehold on the federal government, how is that, sir, declaring war on India?
Look, he's talking about a democratic revival, but in fact, Prime Minister Modi is the single most popular democratically elected leader in the world. He gets hundreds of millions of votes more than any other person who seeks votes in the whole world. Now, we saw a democratic revival in India in 2014 and consolidation in 2019, when after nearly 3 decades of political quagmire, the people of India re-elected with Prime Minister Modi at its head a party to have a full majority in parliament. Now that's democracy. But the reality is Soros deliberately funds and champions causes, as I said, to destabilize society and to grab political power. In India, he has been championing the cause of illegal immigrants, like the Rohingyas. He has done the same in the US. He champions open borders. He champions the complete overthrow of constitutions and a democratic way of running governments. If you look at the investigative stories done on him by the New York Post, you will see that he's got a toolkit which he's replicating in India, and we should take it seriously.
So you talk of a toolkit and you talk about George Soros putting people in positions of influence. Will the Narendra Modi government then probe these individuals or organizations who may be on the payroll of either George Soros individually or the Open Society Foundation? Who are his Indian collaborators, sir?
Of course we should. Now, just like he has done in other countries, here he has been championing many of these people, and the record is out there. Those who are in academia, those who are in so-called think tanks, some of them in media, exact same copycat version of what he does in other countries. Now, you know, he's attacking Mr. Adani. Now, as we have made it very, very clear, the BJP has nothing to hide at all on that front. You can go and ask any of the top industrialists of India whether they can have a quid pro quo with the Narendra Modi-led BJP, and they will all tell you that's not possible. And so there are institutions which are looking into that, and we don't need to get into that. But George Soros's track record is out there for everyone to see. I urge all the viewers of your channels to look it up online, look at the investigative reports on him, and what you see should concern you about the way he's targeting in India. We should not take it lightly.
And do you, Mr. Panda, then see a pattern? The Hindenburg report, the BBC report, the statement made at the Munich Security Conference, and the surround sound around at least the first two?
Well, absolutely, because it's very clear. He makes it very clear in that menacing sounding video that he wants regime change. He wants to disempower Prime Minister Modi, who is elected by the world's largest electorate in the history of humankind. He makes it very clear. So, and there are people, you know, the Congress may try to distance itself from it, but apart from the videos you have shown, many of the people who are taking funding from him, many of the organizations who are taking funding from him, have been organizing these kind of activities to try and bring the country down. Now, one of the things that Soros does, well, for example, Soros champions in the name of environmentalism the stoppage of any kind of developmental work. And you've seen a lot of that in India, and you've seen some of these people funded by him. You've also seen the chaos that he creates by funding people who want to depose the state, people who are violent, people who indulge in riots and physical damage, not just in shorting corporate stocks.